The massive high school towers over all the other buildings in this bustling urban area. It's like the school stands at the center of the entire world. Hope's Peak Academy. It brings in top students from every field imaginable, a government-funded school of privilege. They say that if you come here and manage to graduate, you'll be set for life. With hundreds of years of tradition, it sends the cream of the crop into the workforce every year. It was built to raise hope in the nation's future, which makes Hope's Peak a pretty fitting name. There are two things you need to attend this school. One, you have to already be attending high school. Two, you have to be the very best at what you do. No ordinary student can enroll here. The only way in is if you're scouted by the school itself. And standing there at the gate of the ultimate school filled with the ultimate students was me. That was the beginning again. Ding. What? Where am I? I woke up with my head resting on top of a hard wooden desk. My body felt heavy. It wouldn't be weird for me to zonk off in the middle of some boring class or whatever, but what was I doing asleep here just now? Wasn't any classroom I'd ever been in before. What the heck is going on? Finally. I could finally feel my mind and body start to come back together again, and then I was awake. Or was this just another dream? A dream inside a hopeless nightmare? No, this isn't a dream. I could tell because the stench invading my nostrils was too powerful for a dream. Oh man, I wonder if this is like where all the bodies ended up. What an awful smell. I was in a vast dark cavern with the barest hint of light seeping in. Trash was piled high all across the area. This must be some kind of underground garbage pit. A heck of a situation to find myself in. That was just the beginning of my problems. Was I going to be stuck in there till I wasted away and died? No, I can't let that happen. Not after what my good friend went through to save me. I remembered all too well what had happened. Alter Ego saved me, and he used up the last little bit of his strength to do it. So I can't give up now, for myself and for my friend. With that, my pursuit of survival began. First up was to start looking for a way out of there. Okay. Wow, so this game went off the rails, didn't it? Oh, we're in a pit, looks like. Some stuff here. Is that an airplane? How'd something like that wind up in the school's garbage pit? There wasn't any execution that had an airplane involved, was there? This is a desk. It's probably the one that fell down here with me. That's a rocket and a tank. Better not think too much about what I'm seeing down here. A rocket and a tank. Was the rocket from the beginning of the game that bit where he killed that guy? He shot him up into space. Rattle, rattle. It's locked. No matter how many times I've pushed or pulled or kicked at it, it didn't budge. Getting out of here isn't going to be that easy. Well, if I'm not getting out of here anytime soon, I decided to look around for some food. That's the first thing on your mind. There's plenty of food here, but it's all rotten. But that was pointless too. Next, I searched for some water. How can I be sure which liquids I can drink and which ones are an all-around bad idea? Again, pointless. I feel like I'm blocked in on all sides, but that's still not enough reason to give up because I'm still alive. As long as I'm alive, I'll never give up. After making that proud declaration, the next thing I decided to do was go to sleep. My sleep was deep and uninterrupted. That was my only way to preserve what little strength I had left after not being able to eat or drink. I can't be sure, but I think at least a full day had to have passed, and all I did was sleep and sleep. It was like I was waiting for some kind of sign to come falling out of the sky. However, what fell from the sky wasn't a sign, not exactly. What the? The strange sound pierced my silent isolation, jarring me awake. As I watched, a pile of garbage jostled and formed an odd shape. Did something fall down over there? Something fell from up above. What could it have been? Did a giant piece of trash just fall down here? I carefully stretched my hand out toward whatever it was that had tumbled down here with me.
Just a second.
A giant piece of trash. Rude. Before she even emerged from the pile of garbage, I knew who it was.
It smells awful.
I see you brought food. This place smells awful. Kyoko. That's funny.
Indeed.
You look like you're doing better than I expected. What are you doing here?
So...
Isn't it obvious I'm here to help you? You weren't getting out of here by yourself. I'm glad to hear that, Kyoko. You got a bit of garbage in your hair. She gave her head a quick, sharp shake to get rid of the trash and faced me again.
Hey.
First, I have something for you. Go ahead and eat it. We can talk once you're finished. Thank you. I snatched the bread and water that she was holding out for me. But in seconds, it was in my mouth and making its way toward my stomach. Phew, that really hit the spot. Nothing like a couple of buns. Now I've got all the energy I need to keep going. So you still haven't given up then? Of course not. After all, the fact that I can keep going forward is about all I'm good at. Well, that's not such a bad thing to be good at. So you can tell me what the hell is going on? How come my indicator's green now? I just noticed that. Wasn't it orange before? But Kyoko, why'd you come to rescue me?
So...
To pay a debt. Or, no, to atone. Atone?
You...
During the trial, even though you knew I was lying, you didn't say anything. So you knew that I knew.
Indeed.
But even though I knew, I did nothing to help you. I abandoned you. Don't say that, you didn't abandon me. No, that's exactly what I did. I abandoned you in order to save my own life. You were trying to save me, and I couldn't bring myself to do the same for you.
However...
But listen, not that I'm trying to make excuses, but there was a reason that I had to survive no matter the cost. Why did you have to survive?
It's true.
I'll tell you everything. The reason I have to survive...
In other words...
is so that I can do what I came to this school to do. What? I made up my mind to come to Hope's Peak Academy for one very important reason. So you have some reason for coming to Hope's Peak?
Indeed.
That's right. At least I did. Once. Until recently, I'd forgotten what it was. You forgot, but that's... I had no memory of what my purpose was. No memory, that's impossible. Amnesia? Then, is it really true you lost your memory?
Makoto.
Do you remember Makoto? Do you remember the first thing that happened to each of us as soon as we arrived at this school? The first thing. You're talking about when we fainted, right? I fainted, and when I woke up, I was trapped here.
That's right.
I fainted too, and when I woke up, I noticed a strange feeling of separation within myself, a disconnect.
It would seem...
Thinking back on it now, at that point my memory was gone. At that time, I'd forgotten. I couldn't remember why I'd come to this school, and I couldn't remember what my ultimate ability was. So your memory was messed with. Were you the only one then? But what would make you forget all that?
Hey,
Strange, isn't it? It's hard to imagine it happened by chance. It seems much too convenient. Are you saying you think you lost your memory because...
indeed.
I don't think. I'm positive it was the work of the mastermind. They stole my memory. But why would they want to do that? Why would they want to do anything they're doing, Makoto? There's only one reason I can come up with. Because of my purpose and my ability. Somehow they would interfere with the mastermind's plans. So the mastermind just stole them from you?
However,
And it could also mean somehow my memories may be connected to the mystery of this school and the mastermind. Which is why I have to get them back. That's why I've been investigating things by myself this whole time. But if what you say is true, why didn't you ask the rest of us to help you?
why is that?
If I did that and we all worked as one, the mastermind would have noticed right away. Plus, there's always a chance that the mastermind is actually one of us. What?
Correct.
Well, don't make too big a deal of it. It's just a possibility. You mentioning that makes it more than a possibility. Since it is a possibility, we can't ignore it, right? The mastermind, one of us. If she believed that, then of course she couldn't trust anyone around her. In which case, it only makes sense that she would look into her missing memory by herself.
However,
That being said, there was a limit to what I could do by myself, which is why I asked you to help me. But why me? Because among everyone, you were least likely to be the mastermind. That was just intuition, but... I see. Your intuition was right, though. There's no way an ordinary kid like me could have been the mastermind. That's what the mastermind would say.
I understand. I should understand everything. My goal isn't to get out of here. It's to stay here.
What does that even mean? It's just like the dream I had before, but why did that just happen?
listen.
Are you okay? Oh yeah, it's nothing. You probably should tell her, Makoto, since you're giving away secrets now between the two of you. It is nothing, right?
Hey,
Even now, I still trust you, you know. It's just, I'm not used to relying on others.
correct.
I know I never asked you for help the right way, so I understand if you're not convinced. Honestly, I was convinced. I think that's just her personality. You said you had a reason for doing all that investigating on your own. So how'd that turn out? Were you able to remember anything?
So,
I think there's still a lot I don't remember, but at the very least, I was finally able to recall my purpose and my ability. You mentioned your ability. My ability, what everyone should have known me for. I'm the ultimate detective. I called that from the beginning. I knew it. It was obvious, so really. I mean, the way she was acting, the way she, was investigating things. The ultimate detective.
correct.
And the reason I came to Hope's Peak Academy, there was someone I had to find here in the school. You had to find someone who?
So,
Well, it was the headmaster of Hope's Peak Academy. The headmaster? Why'd you want to find a headmaster? Because he's my father. What?
in other words,
I was separated from him as a child. As it turns out, he became the headmaster of Hope's Peak. Kyoko's dad is Hope's Peak headmaster? Then that explains when Alter Ego told us how he thought the headmaster was involved. I'll find a way. Huh? No matter what it takes, I will find the headmaster.
no matter what?
No matter the cost. So I thought she was going to want to kill him, so it wasn't that she wanted to kill him, it's she wanted to find her dad.
So,
Kyoko, what's going on? My memory hadn't come back at that point, but when he said that, I felt strange. It makes perfect sense now, of course, since my whole purpose for coming here was to find him. That makes sense.
However,
But listen, Makoto, I want to make this perfectly clear so there's no misunderstanding. I said the headmaster wasn't the mastermind, but I didn't say that to protect him. I only said what I felt based on what I'd seen when I snuck into the headmaster's room. And what did you see in there?
so...
The room had been ransacked. The shelves were a mess, the desk drawers dumped on the floor. The only conclusion is that someone who didn't know where anything was had been in there. You mean a mastermind, right?
It's true.
That was my assumption, yes, and to confirm my suspicion, I decided to investigate the second floor of the dorms using the key I'd found. But why there? Because I also found this in the headmaster's room. Is this some kind of map?
Indeed.
It's the layout of the entirety of Hope's Peak Academy. I found it in the headmaster's room along with Mukuro's profile and that key. The map showed that the second floor was home to a number of rooms meant for faculty use. Some of the staff must have had to stay overnight from time to time, and I figured the headmaster would have some kind of private room there. I assumed that if that were true, that room would likely hold more clues, so I went to check.
Correct.
And that's when I finally remembered. I remembered that my purpose was to find the owner of that room. So you went there to see if the headmaster really did have a private room there.
However,
Once I got there, I noticed that the second floor of the dorms didn't have any cameras or monitors. So what was it like, that part of the school, I mean? It's hard to describe. All I can say is, the moment I saw it, I realized whatever's going on in this school is more horrific than we ever imagined. What do you mean?
so...
I can't explain it. You need to see it for yourself, and I'm sure you'll get your chance soon enough. Sounds like it must be important and really ominous.
However,
Of course, once I got to the second floor of the dorms, there were no cameras and no monitors. We spoke about that already, right? Which is why I had no idea what was going on in the rest of the building. It has to do with Mukuro Ikusaba, doesn't it?
however,
Just to be perfectly clear, I didn't kill her. And I know it wasn't you either. I know you're right, but that just means everyone but you and me had an alibi, so then who did kill her? I'm starting to wonder about Toko, because she's the only one that's stepped away from everybody.
anyway,
What I can say for sure is that the mastermind is directly involved. And Toko was kind of acting odd during that trial. She wasn't stuttering as much. She was, but then she wasn't. To begin with, the point of the class trial of Mukuro Ikusaba was to get me killed. Oh, so okay, maybe that was set up by Monokuma. Get you killed.
indeed.
I stole that key and disappeared, and in retaliation they wanted to draw me out and eliminate me.
Correct.
That was the point of the class trial. It was. The mastermind knew they couldn't interfere directly. He may because of the school regulations.
That's right.
Exactly. With minimal restrictions, you are free to explore Hope's Peak Academy at your discretion.
In other words,
The mastermind is adamant about following the rules, and with that rule in place, they couldn't step in. Since they couldn't kill me themselves, they tried to use a class trial to do it. Mastermind couldn't step in because of the rules. That makes it sound like the mastermind themselves is somehow bound by the school regulations.
hey,
There's one other thing I'd like to point out about the murder of Mukuro Ikusaba. What's that? There was a point where Mukuro may not have become the victim. What? It could have been you, Makoto. I could have become the victim?
indeed.
You know what I'm talking about, right? When a masked person was trying to kill Makoto. Do you mean during the night? I can hear them, you know. The footsteps of the god of death. Well, that's delightfully morbid. What? I can hear the god of death as he moves. That ability naturally draws me into cases just like this.
Anyway,
which is exactly what happened with you. I was in the dorms and I had a sudden sense of dread. I looked down the stairwell and I saw a white shadow across the corridor. I gave chase right away. As I followed it, I saw the shadow go into your room.
correct.
I ran into your room and I saw what was happening. I intervened immediately, of course.
However,
That wasn't the end of things, of course. I stopped them, but that led to... Whoever the masked assailant was, they ended up dead.
correct.
And a murder was disguised and the dojo key wound up in my room. It all has to be the work of the mastermind in an attempt to use the class trial to eliminate me. So all this would mean that whoever killed Makuro is also the mastermind, right?
Indeed.
I don't have conclusive evidence, but that's what I think. But that's really bad if true. It means the mastermind can kill whoever they want if they feel like it. Wait, but doesn't that create another contradiction? The mastermind wanted to use the class trial to try and kill you because they couldn't interfere, right?
Correct.
You're right, that is a contradiction. And it's not just Makuro. They needed the class trial to kill me, but seemed ready to kill you in your room. Everything they did is a contradiction. So what does it all mean?
In other words,
It means that the mastermind is the one who's been cornered. Huh?
Makoto.
Just a little more. A little more and I should be able to figure out the mastermind's identity. The identity of the other ultimate despair. The other ultimate despair. There's no doubt that Makuro was the ultimate despair and now she's dead. But I don't think the ultimate despair is just one person. It's not.
Indeed.
If you think about it, the ultimate despair seems to implicate whoever caused that event. You're talking about
That's right.
what happened a year ago. The biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. The tragedy, whoever's responsible for that, they're the ultimate despair.
It would seem
That despicable group whose only purpose and motivation comes from despair. Then they're,
indeed.
make no mistake, they're the root of all the evil that has forced us to go through this. So it's the group we're dealing with? That is the ultimate despair. And that is our real enemy. Chapter 5. The end. We're at 6 and they took out Makuro. You received the Dream Island rocket present. The ultimate despair. A group of people who caused a tragedy 1 year ago. Those same people put together this killing game and began broadcasting it around the world. The most desperately awful group of people ever. Maybe it's what used to be Fenrir? That is the mastermind's true identity. Our enemy has finally been revealed. Not really. But right now we have to get out of this horrible place. Figuring out the rest of the story can come after. Yeah, you're right. Kyoko, do you still have that one thing? Monokuma's secret tool that you got from the headmaster's room?
Indeed.
Of course I do. It's an absolutely vital part of ensnaring the mastermind. I would never part with it. And it can open any door in the school, right?
That's right.
That's right. Then we should be able to use it on that door, right? Hey Kyoko, we can use that key of yours to open this door, right?
It's true.
Let's find out. Kyoko took out the key with the Monokuma design on it and slid it into the keyhole. And then... yes, it opened.
Indeed.
And now we can get out of here. Let's go. Sounds good. We quickly opened the door and made our escape from the garbage pit. Finally. We were finally free. There wasn't even time to take a breath of relief, because the real fight had just begun. Ultimate pain, ultimate suffering, ultimate despair, ultimate execution, ultimate death. That was everybody that was left. After leaving the garbage pit, we found ourselves in a tunnel extending straight up like a chimney. There was a metal ladder leading up into the tunnel. We started climbing the ladder, intent on reaching the surface. The ladder was impossibly long. I couldn't even see where it ended. We climbed into darkness. The passage was so dark and cramped, I couldn't even see my own feet beneath me. I had no idea we were so far down.
Hey,
Don't lose your footing. If you slip, I won't be able to catch you. Yeah, I'll be careful. How the hell did you survive this fall down here, Kyoko? But now that you said that, I'm getting kind of nervous. Maybe talking will help keep my mind off it. So Kyoko, there's something I wanted to ask you. You said you were the ultimate detective, right? So how long have you been doing detective work? How long?
so...
Ever since I can remember. I come from a long line of detectives. Detective work is in my blood. There was a time when being a detective was considered a sacred duty. My family's always seen it that way. Then is your family famous?
Wrong.
Quite the opposite, actually. Even among actual detectives, many people haven't heard of us. Huh, but how come? It's like your family tradition, right? So,
Right.
because we take pride in it. Pride.
Indeed.
A detective is neither light nor shadow. We represent neither justice nor evil. That is how we can uncover the absolute truth. We stand neutral in all things. To do that, we have to stand separate from the rest of society. Which is why we've made a conscious effort to conceal our existence. A conscious effort.
It's true.
It's kind of old-fashioned, and I can't say it's entirely rational, but it's our family creed, and we do what we must to protect it. Because, like I said, it's our source of pride. Pride. So that explains. Before I came here, when I was looking up info about the school online, I never saw anything about her. Because she hid herself on purpose to protect the pride of her family.
However...
And yet, I gave up some of that pride. Huh? In order to enter Hope's Peak, I had to reveal myself to the school. I did it knowing it was something a true Kirigiri detective would never do. But the reason you gave up that pride, the reason you would go so far to enter Hope's Peak, is because that's how much you wanted to reconnect with your dad, right? There's no shame in that.
What?
Reconnect. I had absolutely no desire to reconnect with my father. Huh? But you'd be reuniting after all those years, right? You would have had so much to talk about.
Wrong.
There's nothing I want to talk to my father about.
However...
There is something I want to say to him, though. What? No matter what it takes, I have to find him and tell him face to face. What is it?
So...
I want to sever all ties with him. Sever. Last time I saw him, I was still very young, so I don't remember myself, but apparently he was extremely intelligent. He was in line to become the next head of the Kirigiri family. He was talented. He had a promising future.
However...
But he had no interest in detective work, so he cut himself off from the family. Not too long after that, my mother died, and he simply ran away. He went to my grandfather, and they had a huge argument, and as young as I was, he left me behind. I'm sure there was a reason for that. I'm sure your dad wanted to take you with him. How do you know that, Makoto?
Right.
If that's true, then I need to thank him. Thank him for leaving me. Because unlike him, I take pride in the work I do. I take pride in my family name. So every last part of me is happy he didn't take me with him. If I'd gone with him, I never would have had the chance to become a detective. I was above Kyoko on the ladder, so I wasn't able to see her expression. So I couldn't tell. I couldn't see how she looked when she said that, what she might have been feeling. All I could tell was that compared to her usual self, she was more talkative and more emotional. I don't blame him, you know. He had his own life to live. That's what anyone in my position might say, right? But it's not true.
However...
But there's one thing that I can never forgive. Really?
So,
The way everyone else looked at me, I was never sad about being left behind. Like I said, I think it was a good thing.
however,
When the rest of my family looked at me, they saw something different. They only saw me as the little girl that was abandoned by her father. That's how they see me even to this day. His shadow has been following me my entire life. I'm sick of it. I need him out of my life. I need to step out of his shadow.
correct.
That's why I have to find him and tell him we're no longer family. In order to settle the past, in order to remove him from my life forever. I have no doubt he forgot about me years ago. But your family, to just cut him out like that.
Wrong.
Our only connection is through blood, nothing more. Are we connected by heart and soul? No.
Hey,
Is blood really enough to call someone family? Only connected by blood, not by heart or soul. I was so shocked to hear her say something like that I didn't know how to respond. So instead, I said nothing. I just kept climbing the ladder in complete silence. And after I don't know how long, we finally reached the top.